Okay, so this is two-step equations. There's no real definitions or anything we need to go over except to show you how to do these problems. And we are going to take them pretty slow. We're going to check our work, make sure that we get this down before we move on. Okay, so example 1, we have A, we have 3x minus 5 equals 25. Okay, and again, I want to make sure that when we're doing these problems that we split our equal sign so that we know that whenever we do one thing to one side, we must do it to the other side, right? So I'm going to look at this side because I want to get this number by itself. And because I want to get that variable, x, it is a number, right, but it's a variable. I want to get it by itself. I need to look at it and see what is being done to it, okay? And I can see that 3 is being multiplied to it, but there's also this minus 5, okay? And I'm always, whenever I'm trying to solve these equations, I need to look at the term that's not attached to it. So here this 3 is attached to it by multiplication, but I also have this other term, negative 5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And again, if I do it to one, I do it to the other. I need to make sure that I'm adding like terms, okay? Whenever I have two opposites, I get 0 when I'm adding or subtracting. And so what I'm left with is 3x equals 25 plus 5 is 30. And then now I'm left with a simple one-step equation. All I have to do is divide by 3 because, again, whenever there's a number right next to a variable, that means multiplication. And I want to do the opposite of what's being done to the variable. Okay. So divide by 3. This becomes a big 1. So that's exactly what I want in front of my variable, right? I want a 1. So x equals 10. Okay? And now I'm going to go ahead and check my work. So I found my answer of x equals 10. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check my work. This is my check. I'm going to do 3 times 10 minus 5 equals 25. So if you can see what I did here is I just took this equation and I rewrote it down here, but instead of writing x, I wrote what we believe x equals. And this is how we check our work. So 3 times 10, we get 30 minus 5 equals 25, and 30 minus 5 is 25. Does 25 equal 25? Yes, it does. So, boom, I know I'm right. And what I meant to do was circle this one here. So yes, x does equal 10, okay? And whenever you're checking your work, you always want to just manipulate one side of the equation, okay? Because now you have nothing but numbers. There's no reason to move numbers from one side to the other, okay? So example 2, or example 1b, we have negative 4x plus 7 equals 27. So again, when I start an equation, I always make sure that I split it down the middle. And again, whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Now x is being multiplied by negative 4, and then it's adding 7. So because the adding 7 is a different term than what this is, I need to get rid of this first. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. And again, I always want to line them up under like terms. Okay, so negative 4x, subtract 7, I get negative 4x. Just getting ahead of myself there. Equals 20. Okay, and again, one more step. All I have to do is, since x is being multiplied by negative 4, I divide by negative 4. Okay, divide by negative 4. I get x equals, because these become a big 1, x equals 20 divided by negative 4. Well, it's a positive divided by a negative. Means my answer is negative. Okay, so x equals negative 5. And again, I'm going to check my work. So how do I do that? I take this equation, I rewrite it, negative 4, but instead of x, I write what number we found. Okay, here we go. So let's check it out. Negative 4 times negative 5, well, that's 20. 20 plus 7 That does equal 27, right? So 27 equals 27. I know my answer's right, and I checked it, so we are good. All right, let's try some more. I'm going to change it up a little bit. Now we're going to throw in some fractions, okay? So getting a little bit tougher, but same exact principle. Always do the same thing. So again, here's one term. This is where my x is. This is all one term, x divided by 3, and then add 2. So first thing I want to do is get rid of that 2, because it's simply being added. I can easily move it over to the other side by subtracting. So x divided by 3 is equal to, what's 1 minus 2? Well, that's negative 1. Now all I have to do is look at this and see what's being done. Well, I can tell that this says x divided by 3. So if x is being divided by 3, again, I want to do the opposite. So the opposite of division is multiplication, right? So I'm going to multiply by 3. And whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other, right? So if I multiply by 3, again, 3 over 3 is just 1. So I get x equals, and negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Again, I want to check my work, so I'm going to plug in my values. If x equals negative 3, that means I have negative 3 over 3 plus 2 equals 1. Well, what's negative 3 over 3? Well, that's negative 1, right? Because negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2 equals 1. Is that true? It sure is. So I know from my check that my answer is right. X has to equal negative 3. And let's do one more and we'll be done for two-step equations. And again, I am going to want to see you performing your check on your work. I'm going to give you less problems because I am giving you the check, but I want to make sure that we are doing this check so that we feel confident in our answers. Okay? So one more time. Now, my constant, my 5, is in front of my variable. Okay? So this is still actually the same thing. It doesn't matter what order these numbers come in. My variable could be the second term or it could be the first term. In this case, I have to think, what kind of 5 is this? Well, it's not a negative 5 because there's no negative in front of it, right? Which means it's a positive 5. So if I have a positive 5 and I want to get this positive 5 over here to get it away from the variable, I need to, again, do the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 5. Okay? That equals 0. We get negative 3 over 4. X is equal to 29 minus 5 is 24, right? Okay, so now here's where I'm going to do something a little bit different. Here I have a fraction, okay? And actually I did have a fraction over here as well, but it just looks a little bit different, okay? But what I always want to do is if I have a fraction, I can do it in one step. I can multiply by this number's reciprocal, because if I multiply a fraction by its reciprocal, I always get 1, and that's what I always want in front of x, right? So I'm going to multiply by negative 4 over 3. Let's see, we have 4 and 3. And again, if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. So here, these cancel each other out. So I'm left with x equals, and now I have a whole number times a fraction. And this is kind of confusing, but again, I told you, you can always take your whole number, make it a fraction, and do your multiplication. Or you can cancel if you can. What I see is that 3 goes into 24, so I can cancel those. What does 24 become? 24 divided by 3 is 8. So really I have 8 times negative 4. 8 times negative 4, well, that is 36, right? And that's negative. I'm sorry, 32. I don't know where I got 36 from.